Everything is about to change. And when it does, you'll finally understand why it took so long. I've already set someone in motion toward you. That person is walking to your door right now as you're hearing these words, and the knock that's coming isn't a coincidence. It's the final step of a movement I started weeks ago in the spirit, long before you ever imagined this was possible. You've prayed about it so many times that you might have even stopped expecting an answer. But I never stopped working behind the scenes of your life. Stick with me until the very end, because before this message is over, you're going to receive 3 precise signs to recognize this person the moment they arrive. This isn't a vague feeling. It's not generic hope. These are concrete signs, and some of them are already happening to you right now, even if you haven't noticed yet. You wake up early, before anyone else, and you stand there in front of the mirror for a few seconds longer than you should. It's not vanity. It's a silent question you can't even properly form, but it shows up every morning, just the same. What's wrong with me? Why hasn't it happened yet? You look at your own reflection, searching for an answer the mirror never gives. You watch everyone else moving forward. A wedding here, an engagement there, a photo of a ring that pops up in your feed without warning and catches you off guard in the middle of some random afternoon. And there's that tightness in your chest that you've learned to hide quickly, the automatic smile, the congratulations comment typed with a slightly trembling thumb, choosing the right emoji to seem genuinely happy. Inside, the question you never say out loud to anyone: what do they have that I don't? Why did their lives move forward while mine feels stuck in the same place for so long? You open your contacts list, and you realize once again that you're not the first name that comes up when someone wants to talk. Not the first call. Not the first memory. And that hurts in a way that has no exact name, because it's not outright rejection. It's a silent absence that repeats day after day until it becomes routine. And there was that date. You know the one. The one that went nowhere. Another one to add to a list you're tired of counting. And afterward, sitting alone, you typed, "I'm fine," to whoever asked how it went, your hand shaking a little as you hit send. You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part? You start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video. You typed, "I'm fine," to whoever asked how it went, your hand shaking a little as you hit send. Because you weren't fine. You were tired. Tired of waiting with no sign that this wait would ever end. It's not the acute crisis of the first few years anymore. It's not that desperation that hurts so much it steals your sleep. It's become something quieter, more dangerous even. It's become loneliness that's already turned into routine, a way of living you've gotten used to calling normal. You've learned to organize your entire life around being alone. The table set for one. The movie watched with no one to discuss the scene with. The trip postponed because there's no one to share it with. And gradually this stopped feeling temporary and started feeling permanent, as if this were simply the shape of your life from now on. Maybe you don't even cry like you used to. Not because the pain is gone, but because you've learned to manage it in silence, to keep that part of yourself in a drawer that only opens at night when no one is watching. And on the outside, you keep standing. You keep waking up, keep working, keep smiling in public, even when you're carrying this weight alone inside. That hasn't gone unnoticed by me. I saw every single one of those mornings. I saw every forced smile at someone else's wedding. Every, "I just haven't found the right person yet," said with practiced lightness, so no one would notice how heavy it felt inside. If any of these scenes hit you just now, hit that like button on this video before you keep going. It's not just a platform formality. The like here is your public amen, your way of saying out loud, even without speaking, that this word landed in the right place. Heaven registers what you confess openly. I have 3 promises for you before we move on, and every single one of them I'm going to fulfill within this same message. The first promise is that all that waiting wasn't a lack of response. It wasn't punishment. It wasn't forgetfulness. It wasn't you being left behind while everyone around you received what they asked for. The waiting was preparation time, but not your preparation. It was the other person's preparation, and I'm going to show you why that changes everything. The second promise is that you're going to leave this message knowing how to recognize the signs of approach before the meeting even happens. Not after. Before. Because when you know how to read what's moving around you, you stop living in anxiety and start living in awareness. The third promise is that by the end of this video, you'll be able to declare out loud that you've stopped searching and started receiving. Those are different words. Searching tires you out. Searching wears you down. Searching is you going after something that isn't yours yet. Receiving is another posture entirely. It's opening the hand that was clenched from trying to hold on by yourself, from effort to permanence, from anxiety to readiness, from loneliness to companionship, from waiting to destiny. These 4 transitions are going to happen inside you before this video ends, one at a time, without rush but with no turning back. I know about the nights when you almost stopped believing anyone would come. I saw when you turned off your phone early, tired of waiting for a message that never came, and decided for a moment that maybe this was just how it was going to be. Alone, forever. I was right there, and it was exactly on those nights that I was moving that person closer to you. While you stood still waiting, I was moving someone toward your door. Now close your eyes for a moment, or at least look away from the screen and listen with complete attention, because what's coming next are the signs you asked to recognize, and some of them might already be happening inside you at this very moment. The first sign is a dream. Not just any dream, but one that repeats or that leaves a strange feeling of presence even after you wake up. A face you don't quite recognize, or you don't even see the face, but you feel as if someone is there nearby, waiting. You wake up and lie there for a few seconds, trying to understand why it felt so real, why your heart is still racing, why you have this weird urge to smile even though you don't exactly remember what you dreamed. You probably called it a strange dream, a product of a tired mind. Nothing important, but it's not nothing. It's the spirit recognizing before the mind can see. It's the first contact of something that was already decided in the spiritual realm before it happens in the physical realm. While you stood still waiting, I was moving someone toward your door, and that dream is the echo of the movement reaching you before the event itself. The second sign is a sudden attraction to a new place. A city that started calling to you for no logical reason. A different neighborhood, an environment you never considered before that suddenly began pulling your attention without any apparent cause. Maybe it was a work opportunity you never would have accepted before. Maybe it was a sudden urge to visit a city that was never in your plans, a name that started appearing in conversations, in videos, in random thoughts in the middle of the day. You probably thought it was just a desire for change, boredom with your routine. But it's not chance. It's me repositioning geography so the meeting happens at the right time, in the right place, without you having to force anything. Don't ignore that silent call to a new place. It might be exactly the path through which this person is being led to you. The third sign is quieter than the other 2, and maybe that's why it's the easiest to ignore. It's your heart growing still, for no clear reason. That anxiety that's been with you for years, that constant tightness in your chest when the subject of loneliness came up, has started to decrease even though nothing visible has changed in your life yet. You're still single, still haven't heard any news, and yet something inside you has stopped screaming. You probably found this peace that arrived without warning. Strange, almost suspicious of it, like someone who expects the calm to be temporary. It's not resignation. It's not you giving up on waiting. It's your spirit sensing that something has already been resolved behind the scenes before you can see the result. The peace came first, because heaven always resolves before it reveals. The fourth sign comes from outside. It's people all of a sudden commenting something like, "I think you're going to meet someone soon," with no context, without you having said anything about the subject. A friend who says this out of nowhere, in the middle of a casual lunch. A relative who drops this comment in the middle of a completely different topic, and then doesn't even remember saying it. Sometimes it's even a stranger, someone who barely knows you, who lets out a similar phrase with no intention at all. You probably laughed or quickly changed the subject, thinking it was just a coincidence or politeness. It wasn't a coincidence. It was outside confirmation of a movement already happening in the spirit, so real that even people who know nothing can feel its echo. And now, the fifth sign. This one is the hardest to hear. It's the one the enemy spent the most time trying to make you ignore, because he knows that if you recognize this sign, you'll finally be free. The fifth sign is the loss of interest in bonds that used to seem enough. That person you kept around just so you wouldn't be completely alone, even though you knew deep down it was never going to become what you really wanted. That conversation you kept feeding, even though you knew deep down it was going nowhere, just because responding was better than the silence of your phone. That almost that you treated like it was the best you deserved. That undefined relationship you called "we're seeing where it goes," just so you wouldn't admit you already knew for a long time that it wasn't it. Suddenly, the interest in these things started to drain. The messages you used to reply to immediately started taking days. The outings that used to feel sufficient started feeling empty, meaningless, a way to kill time and nothing more. And you might have felt guilty about it, like you were being cold or too demanding or ungrateful for not being satisfied with what you had. You're not. Your heart is being emptied of the temporary to make room for the definitive. The enemy tried everything in his power to keep you attached to the almost right, precisely so that when the right person arrived, you wouldn't be free to receive them. While you stood still waiting, willing to settle for little, I was moving someone who doesn't share space with the temporary. If any of these 5 signs reached you just now, if you recognized at least one of them in your own life, write the word "free" in the comments right now. You don't need to explain. You don't need to tell the whole story. Just write "free." That's your way of saying you recognized the movement before it was complete. Now close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath. What I'm about to tell you won't work if your attention is divided. There was a woman named Ruth who lost almost everything she had. She lost her husband. She lost her security. She lost the place where she was born and raised. She could have gone back to her own land, to what was familiar, to what was easier. Many women in her position would have done exactly that. But Ruth chose to stay by her mother-in-law's side, chose an uncertain path, and instead of running desperately after a solution, she did something that seemed too simple, almost meaningless to outside observers. She remained. She went to work in the fields, gleaning what was left of the harvest. A humble, repetitive job with no glamour at all, in a specific field, not yet knowing whose field it was, not knowing that the owner of that place would be the man God had already set apart for her. Ruth didn't hunt down Boaz. She didn't go after him, didn't force a meeting, didn't invent a strategy, didn't spend every day wondering when he would notice her. She stayed faithful in the right place, doing what she had to do with excellence, with humility, without drama. And it was there, right there, in the middle of the simplest routine, that she was found. Now think about a radio frequency. 2 stations can only tune in when both stop forcing their own signal and adjust to the same band. If one of them insists on transmitting too loudly, distorted, trying to dominate the space, the tuning never happens. It just becomes noise, interference, a garbled voice nobody can understand. But when both stop, adjust, quiet down, the signal finds the signal, clean, clear, without static. It's not luck. It's adjustment. It's technical patience that most people don't have. The right meeting works exactly like that. It doesn't happen when both are shouting into the void trying to find each other, trying to force a connection that isn't ready yet. It happens when both stop searching the wrong way and let themselves be adjusted, slowly, to the same frequency, just as Ruth remained faithful in the field she was led to, and Boaz was guided to her without her having to chase him. The person I've prepared for you is being tuned at this very moment to the same frequency as your life. Not by your forced effort, by your steadfastness. You don't need to chase any signal. You need to stay in the place of faithfulness where I've already positioned you. If you recognized yourself in this story, if you feel you're also a Ruth in the right field, waiting faithfully, even without understanding everything, write in the comments right now, Ruth in the right field. That phrase is your declaration that you understood the message. Let me pause for a full minute before continuing. You've already covered a good part of this message, and I want you to notice what's already happened here, because none of it was by chance. First, you recognized in the opening minutes exact scenes of your own loneliness, the mirror in the morning, other people's weddings, the contacts list, that I'm fine, that was a lie. Second, you received 5 concrete signs that someone is being moved in your direction, including the 5th sign, the hardest one, about letting go of what only served to fill a void. Third, you identified with Ruth's faithful waiting and with the image of the frequency that needs to adjust without being forced. Each of these stages was a step, not an accident along the way. And I still haven't given you something important. I still haven't told you the name of who this wait has made you. That's coming now. I know you didn't give up, even when everything around you seemed like absolute silence. I saw you continue to pray softly before sleeping, even when you thought no one was listening. And before I show you what's coming ahead, I want to show you who you've become during this time of waiting. Because what you're about to hear is not a human title. It's what I call you when I speak to heaven about you. You are the child who waited in silence. That's the first identity, spoken as a finished fact, no argument. I saw every night you prayed without receiving a visible answer, and even so, you didn't stop believing. I saw the tears swallowed on the pillow, the repeated prayers with no sign of change, and the silent decision made anew every single day to keep believing even when tired, even when no one else was watching the effort it cost. This authorizes you to stop apologizing for still being single. You no longer need to justify your wait to anyone, no longer need to invent an explanation when someone asks why you're still alone. It was never a delay. It was always preparation. You are the carrier of the right frequency. That's the second identity. I saw you turn down relationships that seemed sufficient on the surface, but that deep down you knew weren't aligned with what I had set aside, even when everyone around you asked why you didn't just settle. I saw the effort of saying no to something comfortable just because it wasn't right, even at the risk of staying alone longer because of that choice. This authorizes you to end lukewarm bonds without feeling any guilt. You don't need to keep around what no longer serves you just to fill the silence. Making space isn't abandonment, it's preparation for the one being sent. You are the prepared field. That's the third identity. I saw your heart being plowed during this time alone, turned over again, purified of old grievances, of wounds from past relationships, organized in a way that only happens when no one is watching, when there's no audience to applaud the progress. This authorizes you to believe that you are already ready to receive, not that you'll be ready someday in some distant, uncertain future. The field has already been prepared. The harvest is near. If you received any of these identities, write its name in the comments now. Child who waited in silence, carrier of the right frequency, or prepared field. And if this message reached you at just the right time, subscribe to this channel right now, because more words like this one are coming, and I don't want you to miss the next one. Now I want to give you something practical, something you can do starting today. Call it the Open Door Protocol. It's 3 simple steps, and none of them require you to go running after anything. First step: declare out loud, alone, without an audience, that the wait is coming to an end. Say in your own words that you're releasing any temporary bond that's still taking up space in your life, any almost you kept around just so you wouldn't be alone. This isn't about cutting people off with anger or bitterness. It's about freeing up internal space peacefully so that what is definitive has room to enter. Second step: prepare a simple physical space for receiving. It doesn't need to be big, doesn't need to be expensive, doesn't need to involve any renovation. It could be setting an empty chair at the table, organizing a corner of the house that was forgotten, changing something small in the environment where you live, taking out of the closet an outfit you were saving for when you had someone. It's an act of silent faith, done without euphoria, just as a declaration that you expect something new to arrive, even without visible proof yet. Third step: take a piece of paper, physical paper, not on your phone, and write down the 3 signs you recognized this week from the 5 that were presented here. Write them in your own handwriting, with your own hand. Keep that paper as a testimony in a place you'll remember. When the answer arrives, you'll be able to look back and see that you already knew, before it happened, that it was coming. The sign that you've received this protocol correctly isn't euphoria, isn't agitation. It's stillness. A calm peace that settles in when you finish the 3 steps, without drama, without needing immediate proof. If you're receiving this protocol right now, write "received" in the comments. Now I need to warn you about something serious. In the next 72 hours, 3 things are going to be thrown against you. Not as a possibility, as a certainty, and I want you to recognize each one of them before it happens, so it doesn't catch you off guard. The first tactic is called impatience disguised as action. It's going to come as a seemingly positive thought, like, I need to go out and search everywhere, I need to try harder, I need to download another app, I need to go to another party I have no desire to go to, just so I'm not sitting still. It seems productive. It even seems responsible. But this voice exists only to pull you away from the field where you're already being found, to make you chase a solution in the wrong place, spending energy in the wrong direction, exactly when you should stay still, faithful, waiting, like Ruth stayed in her field. The second tactic is called silent comparison. It arrives when you're scrolling through your feed, not thinking about anything in particular, and suddenly you see a happy couple, a marriage proposal, a passionate caption, an anniversary photo counting how many years they've been together. And what was just a casual scroll turns into a silent stab that turns your waiting into bitterness, without you even noticing the bitterness was creeping in, disguised as harmless curiosity. The third tactic is called settling for the almost. This one is subtle and dangerous, perhaps the most dangerous of the 3. It arrives as a reasonable thought like, this is better than nothing. It's better to be with someone who's here than to stay alone. At least this way I have company. And this thought keeps you trapped in a lukewarm bond with no future that blocks exactly the definitive one that's on its way. Because while your hand is busy holding on to the almost, it's not free to receive the right one. And there's still an internal enemy, more dangerous than the previous 3. Because it doesn't come from outside. It comes disguised as your own voice, with a tone of maturity and common sense, almost sounding like wisdom earned with age. It's the voice that whispers, your time has passed, especially when another birthday arrives and you blow out the candle alone again, or when someone younger than you announces an engagement and the comparison hits hard. This voice wants to convince you that waiting too long is naivety, that faith is for people who haven't learned the lesson yet. It's not. It's faith being tested right at the moment when the answer is closest, because it's exactly there, in the last stretch before the turn, that the pressure to give up gets strongest. If you understood that these 3 tactics and this internal voice aren't going to catch you off guard, write "protected" in the comments right now. The decree has been sealed. Now put your hand over your chest. Close your eyes if you can. Breathe slowly. Once, one more time. I want you to release some burdens before we finish here. The first is the comparison with those who are already married, who have already found someone, who seem to be always one step ahead of you, as if there were a race and you got left behind. Release that now, out loud if you can. The second is the fear of waiting in vain, the fear that all of this is just an illusion, a beautiful hope that won't come true in the end, and no one will arrive. Release that fear too. The third is the shame of still being alone. That shame that made you lower your gaze when someone asked, "And you? Still nothing?" That urge to disappear from the conversation before the question came. Release that shame now, out loud if you can. I saw you in front of the mirror, early, before everyone else woke up, searching for an answer the reflection never gave you. I saw every time you looked at that tired face and asked yourself what was wrong. Nothing was wrong. You were being cultivated. I saw you open your contacts list and feel that emptiness of never being anyone's first name. And I want you to know that in my registry, you were always the first thought of my day. And I saw when you typed "I'm fine" with a trembling hand after another date that went nowhere, hiding from whoever asked how much that hurt inside. I saw the gentle lie you told to protect others from your pain. And I never needed that lie. I always knew the truth, and even so I kept loving you exactly as you were in the moment. Tired, trembling, but still standing. While you stood still waiting, I was moving someone toward your door. While you cried softly on the pillow, I was preparing the one who would come knocking. While you felt forgotten in everyone's contacts list, I was writing your name on the heart of someone who doesn't yet know how much they already belong to you. I cover your mind now against any thought of giving up, against any voice that tries to convince you that it's too late. I cover your relationships, the ones that stay and the ones that need to leave, so that no wrong bond occupies the space meant for the right one. I cover your time, so that you stop chasing the calendar and start trusting my rhythm, which never delays and never rushes. I cover this area of your life, love. The meeting, the arrival, with the same faithfulness with which I covered Ruth in the field, with the same patience with which I guided Boaz to her without anyone having to force anything. And now I send you out. No longer standing still, waiting without direction, without knowing if it's worth continuing to believe. Sent from waiting to destiny, from loneliness to companionship, from doubt to certainty, from searching to receiving. Each of these transitions has already begun inside you, even if you don't yet see everything with your own eyes. Say it out loud now, even if only you can hear it. It is done. I have stopped searching. I am ready to receive. Amen. Write "done" in the comments right now to seal this word in your life. And after that, think of someone you know, a specific person with a name and a face who is also waiting, tired of lonely birthdays, tired of fake "I'm fine" typed with a trembling hand. Send this video to that person right now, by name, directly in the conversation, without waiting for the perfect moment. Send it now because maybe it's exactly what they need to hear today, and maybe you are the instrument I chose to carry this word to them. And if they want to go further, understand these signs better, and walk deeper into this process, the link is in the first comment, waiting for them just as it waited for you. In the next video, I'm going to show you what happens after the knock, how to recognize if this person really is the one who was sent, and how not to let fear ruin what took so long to prepare. Because many people receive the answer and in their shock, almost let it pass by, not recognizing that it was exactly what they asked for. Mark today's date. Keep this message. Come back to it whenever doubt tries to whisper that nothing is going to change. Because I have already spoken, and what I say does not return empty. While you stood still waiting, I was moving someone toward your door, and the knock that's coming won't catch you by surprise, because now you know how to recognize the signs before the meeting even happens. It is done. You are not the same person you were when this message began. You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part? you start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video.